Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, and today we are going to be doing my July, August, September book haul. So, for the first half of the year, I did one book haul because I didn't buy that much in the first quarter, and in the second quarter I went a bit mad, and in the third quarter I have also gone a bit mad. So there's a lot of books that will be included in here. This one is going to be a bit messy because usually the way I do this is I film them in the order that I get them. But I have some of the books here, but most of the books are up in my granny's where I stay for college because I haven't read them. So this is not going to be in order at all. And I'm going to be here for like the first half of the video, and then I'm going to be up there for the other half of the video. So just ignore that, please. So the first book I'm going to talk about is Invisible Women, Exposing Data Bias in a World Designed for Men. And okay, so this was technically a June purchase, but it was like the last day of June and I had already filmed my quarterly book haul. Technically not purchased this quarter, but it's going in here anyway. So I have already read this and I found it very interesting, but it was a small bit dense, and I found like the anecdotes and stuff more interesting than I found like the rest of it. It just talks about how the world is designed for men and how this impacts women, and it was very interesting. So I might as well talk about the next four together, even though I did not buy them together. I bought the first one by itself, and then I think I bought the other three together. That is Dragon Keeper by Robin Hobb, Dragon Haven by Robin Hobb, I don't need to say by Robin Hobb every time, City of Dragons, and Blood of Dragons. This is the Rainworld Chronicles series, and it is the fourth series in the realm of the Elderlings, so I cannot tell you much about it because it is the fourth series. But as you can guess from the title, dragons. I'm not going to tell you what the realm of the Elderlings is about right now because I have more coming. So then I'll talk about the next three together again, and so those are City of Ghosts, Tunnel of Bones, and Bridge of Souls by Victoria Schwab. So this one I actually bought first because I listened to them all on audiobook when I read them. So I actually bought this one first, and then I bought these a little later. I think I bought them like in August, whereas I bought this one in July. But it doesn't matter. I really like these covers. I like how the spines match up, and I like the little cat in this one. So this is Victoria Schwab's middle grade series, and it follows Cassidy Blake, who can see ghosts. So she had a near-death experience, and that left her with the ability to see these ghosts. She has a ghost best friend called Jacob, and her parents are ghost hunters, but they cannot see ghosts, and they get a TV deal, and so they are traveling to the world's most haunted places, and Cassidy can actually see them, and she gets herself in a lot of bother. And so this one is in Edinburgh, this one is in Paris, and then this one is in New Orleans. And so then the next ones I'm also going to be talking about together, and that is Royal Assassin and Assassin's Quest by Robin Hobb. I also bought the first one, Assassin's Apprentice, and that one is up in my granny's because it doesn't fit on this shelf, and I was like, hey, might as well bring one of my favorite books with me. Yeah, so that one is not actually here, but I bought these. These are the 25th. Yeah, I can't remember if these are the 20th or the 25th anniversary editions. I can't remember, but they are illustrated and they are beautiful. So, so we have like a map, and I'm trying to find and they are illustrated with some beautiful illustrations. This one, it's like actually like bound differently. So like this one has like and the first one, they're like kind of rounded, but this one is straight. And I think it's because it is so damn heavy. And like it's also like it's really good paper as well. So yeah. And I love these. These are beautiful. This is one of my favorite series of all time. I really want to reread it, and I really want to reread these editions, and I will do that eventually. So this is the first series in the Realm of the Elderlings by Robin Hobb, which is why I said we would wait. So the Realm of the Elderlings, it follows different parts of the world, but this first series and the third and the fifth series follows Fitz, who is the illegitimate son of the King in Waiting, and when the King in Waiting finds this out, he abdicates his position and flees to the countryside, leaving Fitz in Buckkeep with kind of no one to look after him except for Burke, who is the stable master. And then one day the king kind of like catches him and is like, let's make use of you and train you up as the assassin. And yeah, I love Fitz a lot. I want the best for him. In the second and the fourth series, we follow different parts of the world, but in the first, third, and fifth, we are with Fitz. The next book that I got after I bought these ones was Witch Shadow by Susan Dennard. So this one came out at the end of June, and I had it pre-ordered and everything, and it didn't come until like mid-late July. so that was great. And I ended up getting the ebook of it because I could not wait. I read it immediately. And so I have this copy and I have not read this copy. I love this book. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I loved it so much. Most people did not love this book, which hurt me a lot, but I really enjoyed it. I loved the 2 timelines. A lot of people did not like that, but I did. And yeah, and I now finally have 2 copies that match, because Truth Witch, Wind Witch and Sight Witch are all different editions, as is Blood Witch, and then finally Witch Shadow came and I have 2 that match. So this series follows 2 girls called Safi and Isolde, and they are thread sisters, and they get involved in a lot of stuff. So it starts as they are trying to steal back some money that Safi lost on a card game, and that just throws open the world because a blood witch catches their scent, and so they have to go on the run, and so much happens from there. And I love the series. I actually reread the series in anticipation of Witch Shadow. I read it along with Witch Lands Along, but I started it 2 years ago and I fell in love with the series, and this was like my most anticipated release of the year, and it came out and I loved it and I was so glad. And as I said, most people didn't like this, but I loved it so damn much. I thought it was so brilliant. And so then one last return to the realm of the Elderlings, and I bought the final series in the realm of the Elderlings, which is Fool's Assassin, Fool's Quest, and Assassin's Fate. And I don't know how I feel about these covers, because like, yeah, they kind of match the others, but like they're a lot brighter than the rest, and I'm not sure how I feel about that. So this is the 5th and final series in the realm of the Elderlings. Because Robin Hobb has said that Fitz's story is done, but she's kind of open to writing more about different parts of the world and all of that. Yeah, it's kind of like a question mark whether she would ever come back to this world or not. Obviously, I'm participating in Elderling Along. I have from the very beginning. I've read all of the way up to book 9, so 7 more to go. And yeah, so I will be reading Dragon Keeper, I think, this month. And yeah, and I cannot wait to get to this series because I love Fitz so much, and I love his story and being back with him in like Buckkeep and all of the characters that are involved in that. But also, I am terrified because he has been through so much and I don't want anything else to happen to him. And like, it's Robin Hobb, of course more stuff is gonna happen to him. We have one more thing to talk about right now, and then obviously I will flash over to me in another location. But that is the Steel Prince Volume 1 by V. Schwab. I think actually it's Shades of Magic Volume 1, and it's called The Steel Prince. I have read these. I read them as ebooks, and comics are expensive, guys. As you can see, love V. Schwab. I have all of her books, and I have read all of her books. I want to have all of her books / comics in physical copies, and so I want to get these, and there's 3 volumes of it, and I got this in a secondhand bookstore for, I think it was like 8 or 9 euro. I think it was 8 euros, which for a comic is very good, and it is in absolutely perfect condition, not a scratch on it. And I didn't love this series. I liked it, and comics just aren't my favorite thing in general because I feel like you don't get enough development because it's so short, and I'm not a particularly visual person, but I still like enjoyed it overall, and I think it adds a lot to Maxim as a character. This follows Maxim, who is the father of Rai from the Shades of Magic series and the adoptive father of Kel, and it follows him when he is young, and his father sent him away as a soldier in this part of the world, and he kind of develops a bit of reputation for himself and just follows his like adventures and all of that. I'm gonna keep an eye out for the 2nd and 3rd one as in the secondhand bookstore, but I feel like it's gonna be harder to find the 2nd and 3rd one. But hey, I got to save money on this one, so yay. Hi, so I'm back for part 2 of this book haul. So the books that I have up here. So the first one that I'm going to talk about, and this is another one that I think I technically bought on the last day of June, so it's not technically supposed to be here, but it is, so get over it. And that is The Rune of Kings by Jen Lyons. As you can see, I'm already currently reading it. I'm really enjoying this so far. So it follows a bard's apprentice called Kieran. He is marked by a demon, and then this starts a whole chain of events where he's claimed by the royal family and he finds out he's involved in this prophecy, so everybody wants him on their side. And yeah, it's very fun. It's very like back and forth in timelines, and I'm really enjoying it. So then the next one is Small Favors by Rune Craig, and I haven't read this one yet, but I'm planning on reading it soon. It's on my October TBR, and it is also kind of a horror, YA horror, I think. So another reason why I want to get to it soon. But I'm also really unsure about the synopsis of this. I basically just picked it up because I have read A House of Sun Sorrow by this author, and I really enjoyed that. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. The atmosphere was perfect. I think that our main character lives in a small town that is like surrounded by forests. There's rumors that there's monsters in the woods or something like that. But I'm very intrigued, and I'm excited to get to this eventually. Then I also got The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. I say this wrong every single time. I always say The Small Way to a Long Angry Planet, and I'm like, no, that's not it. That's not it. This is a sci-fi, and I don't read a lot of sci-fi. I want to get more into sci-fi, but I haven't read a lot yet, and so I have heard great things about this. I've heard that Becky Chambers' character work is incredible, and you kind of just fall in love with these characters, and that was kind of enough to sell me, really. I think it follows this crew of a ship called the Wayfarer, and they are offered a load of money to do a particular job, and so they say yes to it, and I think they get into some trouble along the way. So then I next picked up A Deadly Education by Naomi Novik. I have read this book. I read it in September and I really enjoyed it. I give it 4 out of 5 stars. And this one, it follows a girl called Elle, and she is in this magical school which is extremely dangerous. And the problem is with this school, there is a whole load of monsters there, and the only way out is through the graduation chamber, and that is filled with monsters because the wards are broken. At the start of this novel, their year's hero, basically, he is kind of suspicious of Elle because she has an affinity towards dark magic. So he starts kind of following her, and eventually a friendship forms between. As I said, I really enjoyed this. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Again, another September read for me was A Man Called Ove by Frederick Bachman. So this follows a old man who people think is like one of the grumpiest men you will ever meet. And then he gets some new neighbors, and he ends up like really warming up to them, and he just keeps getting involved in other people's lives. It's like he can't help it, and it's a very heartwarming, adorable story. I really loved it. And yeah, this one I picked up because I had read Beartown, and I know this is another one. I mean, all of his books are pretty well loved, but I feel like this one and Beartown are the ones I hear spoken about the most, and Anxious People, which was his newest release, is also up there, and I'll be talking about that in a second. But I was like not too keen because I'm not really one for like really short books, but I mean, totally worth it. I really loved it. So then the next one that I bought, as I said, is Anxious People by Frederick Bachman, because I literally said in like a video a little while ago, I was saying that, you know, I had A Man Called Ove and I was going to read it eventually, but I was actually more interested in reading Anxious People because it's a longer novel and that usually suits me better. But I wanted to wait until it came out with a matching cover for the rest of his books, and then like the next time I walked into a bookstore, this was here. This one I think follows a group of people that are being shown this apartment, and a bank robber who has failed miserably at it, I think, ends up running in on them. I know it involves a failed bank robbery and some sort of like apartment viewing. He kind of takes them hostage, and it's supposed to be like funny but also like really heartwarming, and also I've seen a lot of people cry, so I'm excited. So then the next book was We Hunt the Flame by Hafsa Faisal, and I'm not gonna lie, this was completely a cover buy. Like, it's just so shiny. And yeah, I mean, that is a terrible reason to pick up a book, but I did. And I've heard that the audiobook for this is not good. I don't really know anything about this story. I mean, I've seen it hyped and all of that. I know Nash from Nerdy Nat Reads really loved this, and I think might be enemies to lovers. So judging from the back, it follows 2 characters, and both of them end up going on similar missions, and I presume somewhere along the way they cross paths and stuff happens. But as I said, complete cover buy, and the second book is also really beautiful, but I want to see if I enjoy it before I buy anything. So the last 3 books I'm going to talk about I bought together, and I got them in a 3 for €12 deal, I think it was. And so just to quickly go through them, one of them is Bret Marie Was Here by Frederick Bachman, one is Neverwhere by Neil Gaiman, and one of them is Stardust by Neil Gaiman, which I've read about 50 pages of. Bret Marie Was Here, again, another Frederick Bachman, and I mean, this was just after I read A Man Called Ove, and I was like, I'll pick it up, it is cheap. I think this one is fairly similar to A Man Called Ove, but it follows a woman. I think she feels like she spent her whole life trying to please others, and I think she wants to change that. So again, this is another pretty short one. I think it's just above 300 pages, whereas A Man Called Ove was just under, but it's still pretty short. So hopefully I can maybe squeeze it in sometime this year. Neverwhere by Neil Gaiman. I actually don't know what this is about, but I'm pretty sure it is one of his like most popular ones. And I think it's set like, so under London there is a magical world, and so I think our main character discovers Neverwhere, which I presume is the city, and I'm sure magical and fun stuff happens from there. And then the last one is Stardust, again by Neil Gaiman. And this one, I mean, I only know the synopsis from the movie. I love the movie. That movie, I have such a clear memory of watching it as a child, and I don't know what age I would have been. We rented it and I watched it with some friends at their house, and I think it was Halloween. And I'm trying to remember like around what age I would have been, maybe 8-ish? I'm unsure. Either way, I remember watching that movie and I loved it so much. And I actually haven't seen it that many times. Like, you know the way some childhood movies you will just like watch over and over again? I think I have watched that maybe 2 or 3 times since then, which is not a lot. And I mean, one of those times was actually earlier this year. It was on the TV and I was like, oh my god. And so then one day Liv from the Endless Pages put on her Twitter that she was planning on reading some Neil Gaiman, Where to Start. And I said, hey, I also want to read some of his books. So if you want a buddy read. And so we decided to start with Stardust. And she hasn't seen the movie. I'm enjoying it so far. It's very like magical, whimsical fairy tale feeling. And I mean, by the time this video goes out, I'll probably be after finishing it. Because I don't think, yeah, I'll definitely be after finishing it. So this follows Tristan, and he has fallen in love with a girl called Victoria. And Victoria isn't too keen, but she says if he can get her this fallen star, then she'll marry him. And so off he sets on this quest. I've heard people say that the book and the movie are extremely different, so I'm sure it diverges from what I know to be the plot, but I'm sure he gets up to mischief and stuff. So yeah, so those are the last of the books that I have got for you. Oh, also because I didn't get to show you with the other stuff, so, and here's the 25th anniversary edition of Assassin's Apprentice. I have the second and third books at home, which I already showed you, but I brought the first one up here just to have something in the background. So those are all of the books that I've bought in the past 3 months. It was a little mad. So thank you guys so much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye.